on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. Hi, it is O'Connor and Company on WMAL. It is 7:07 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today. Joining me is Mercedes Schlapp, my friend and colleague. Hello, Mercy.
Hello, Andrew.
This is good stuff to get the heart pumping. Listen, it is we got a great show coming up still. In this hour, we've got Congressman Bob Good from Virginia is going to join us, talk about all the antics up on Capitol Hill yesterday. Next hour, we've got Yesli Vega, who's on the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, talk about some great news on their data center vote yesterday. And then we've got Rob Montz, who's a filmmaker. He's going to join us as well in the 8 a.m. hour. Meanwhile, listen, I've taught in a university setting. I loved getting reviews from my students, loved reading what they had to say, always tried to have a great invigorating classroom environment. This is a fascinating story. The headline from the Huffington Post: I thought taking a class taught by Hillary Clinton would be empowering. I was wrong. I mean, this is it's no secret that celebrity professors are thought to be great for universities, but these benefits come with a cost. And this is by a student named Kate Twining Ward, and she says, well, the thing is, it wasn't really a class; it was a production. Hillary Clinton is running an inside Situation Room class that has at least 1,200 students padding their resumes and very little else as their questions went unanswered. But again, as was pointed out by Kat Timpf last night on Gutfeld, what were they expecting? I mean, this is
exactly.
Anyway, so what are your thoughts here? The celebrity professors.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a very well written editorial, I have to say, but it's almost like this emotional cry of like, I cannot believe, I wanted so much more from Hillary Clinton. I thought it was going to be fabulous with all of her experience, but come on. Like, what is Hillary? Do you think she's going to be grading papers left and right? That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So,
on our first day of class, after making it past the Secret Service agents, we settled in for a much-anticipated 2 hours with the one-time presidential nominee and Secretary of State and U.S. Senator. But the class abruptly ended half an hour early and continued to do so every week. Only a handful of students were given time to ask their personal questions. Oh, my God. Sorry, go ahead.
The experience left the students disillusioned and certainly disappointed. I mean, first of all, who would want to take a class from Hillary Clinton?
Well, I mean, this is a Columbia, right? So, I mean, this is
right.
that I'm not surprised about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently she was absent twice. Look, the key with these college professors, let's just try to find the ones that are not woke.
Yes.
But it's part of having that relationship with the students. And when you're talking about this production of 1,200 students, these class sizes are ridiculous, number one. Number two, if you're going to commit to the class, like Hillary was absent twice, didn't offer any explanation, doesn't answer questions from the students. I mean, there's no engagement because it turns out it's all about Hillary Clinton at the end of the day. And then I want to know how much she got paid.
Well,
yes,
think? That's right. It's the question. And where did it come from? Was there an endowment? Because a lot of times what happens is it's one of these celebrity professors will come in with an endowment. Here's what I come back to. Again, talking pop culture, Mercy, this is exactly the plot out of this Frasier reboot, which I've been enjoying greatly. I don't know if you've ever watched this, but that's the plot is Frasier is now a celebrity psychiatrist, and he is not lured. He actually goes back to Harvard to teach, and the idea is that they're going to invigorate their program. This is my point in all of this. These celebrity professorships are really just a marketing tool for these universities. That's what it comes back to. It's not about an enhanced learning experience, with very few exceptions. And I'm going to give one, and I'm going to walk it back a little bit. Like Jim Comey going to William and Mary and teaching at William and Mary on ethics, which was ironic. And certainly was about William and Mary bringing someone in who was a celebrity to do this thing. But I will say, Comey at least taught his class, right? He was there and he made himself available. But again, it was about the university being able to tout. We've got X, Y, and Z person to do this. It really is amazing. I think everything wrong with higher education can be summed up in this story. Hillary Clinton teaching at Columbia, entitled student thinking that she is owed something by the university and she didn't get it. It is everything that is wrong with higher education.
It just also shows where our academic institutions are. The mere fact you still have Claudine Gay in power as a Harvard president, where the governing board basically said we're backing her up, and now they're saying, well, she probably plagiarized, and they're like, well, it's not part of the Harvard code. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, maybe Hillary Clinton's next stop is going to be like president of Harvard or president of Yale. Like it is such a cozy relationship between these crazy liberals with the Democrat Party and these academic institutions. And the interesting part I want to say about this particular op-ed is that the writer says, bitterness inside the classroom grew as the war in the Middle East evolved. Clinton faced walkouts, sit-ins, and on several occasions fierce vocal backlash in response to her own her often bland answers to conflict-related questions.
Right.
So it's fascinating because it moved on from like she's not going to class, she's not engaging, to the fact that they didn't agree with her on the Middle East war.
Yes. It's what's interesting? As I read this other quote in the article, week after week, hour-long lines wrapped around the lobby of the lecture hall as students employed aggressive strategies to secure near microphone seats for what became known as the Hunger Games Q&A. Subjecting ourselves to this wait was unavoidable if we had any hope of asking even one question during the semester. That's fascinating to me because essentially
it explains her relationship with Bill Clinton. I don't think Bill Clinton asked a lot of questions.
Yes, there you go. But it's also funny because it's essentially what you're doing. It is like paying for multiple sessions at like the 92nd Street Y or some other major venue where a big figure comes and all you want to do is you go there. You don't just want to hear the stories that this person is telling. But you want to get in there and ask your question because you want to be the apple polisher who gets up there. I would say I resemble this remark because I may have done this at a Comic-Con here and there. But you ask the question. It's really not about the learning environment. It's about showing off, and that's a real problem. You've been in environments where you'll give a speech and the folks will queue up so they can ask you the gotcha question. I've had that.
I literally talk about a hostile environment. I was on a panel at Brown University. I was at a panel in George Washington University with students. I mean, the students were asking the questions, and they go hardcore, and you got to be willing to respond and defend your position, as well as teach them a thing or two. Because these students are obviously, some of them that are very, the progressive students are out to get you.
Right.
And even at Brown University, it was with I forgot the gentleman's name, David Korn, who's a big liberal. Sure. He's Mother Jones. He set it up so that I would come across being like this crazy Trump person, and it was, and you had to fight back, and you had to be like, sorry, you're wrong on this. And so for Hillary not willing to take questions, or really to take minimal questions, right, I think it's disappointing that the kids, the students are not getting the full experience of Hillary Clinton, basically. I mean, it's not like they're a bunch of reporters; they're a bunch of students.
Listen, to me, there's a great honor in going and having that perch, the teaching perch, the professorial perch. Use it to your advantage, not to your advantage, but use it to the advantage of the students in terms of giving them the wisdom of your years of experience.
Yes.
And don't squander it, as it looks like Hillary Clinton did. Not that I'm surprised at that. Listen, we will continue in just a moment, but first at 7:15 a.m., WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes, first on the fives. Here is Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
All right, Maryland, if you're heading out of the Burtonsville area and you use 29 southbound, just as you approach and pass Maryland 200, the ICC, watch for those delays to get you past the crash near Fairland Road. It was just one lane getting by. Better on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway as you exit the Beltway to go north into Greenbelt, crash gone, and those delays eased. Now, we do have the volume each direction in Laurel and southbound bunched up in Jessup. Better and through town, still slow, but the crash inbound Suitland Parkway 295 cleared. We're bunched up across the inbound 14th Street Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Listen, we got a great end of the week. Yeah, it's going to be a little chilly today, but still it's going to be sunny with highs in the mid-40s. Tonight it's going to be clear, lows in the low 30s. Tomorrow it's going to be a great day, sunny, highs in the mid-50s. Tomorrow night, lows in the 30s. And then Saturday, mostly sunny with a high near 55, so a great day to be outside on Saturdays. Saturday night's also going to be cool, upper 30s, and then Sunday and Monday the rain comes, highs in the mid-50s, rain Sunday afternoon, rain on Sunday night, lows in the upper 40s, and then rain on Monday, maybe tapering off around midday, highs in the mid-50s. Right now in your nation's capital, it's 29 degrees at 717.
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
From the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
WMAL. Making sense of social media. Because big tech can't be trusted. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
You know, this is a crazy, crazy story out of Boston that has popped up. The Boston mayor and members of the city council have had and have been having for a number of years a Christmas party or a holiday party, because we got to make sure that we remember that this is the woke parlance. They don't just have Christmas parties; they have holiday parties. That no whites were going to be allowed at. It was all for electeds of color, and the only reason why we know about this is because the mayor's director of city council relations, I'm wondering if she's going to continue to have a job, Denise Dos Santos, she accidentally sent the message, the invite that was only meant for electeds of color. That's a quote, by the way. Electeds of color to all of the city council members, and then had to quickly walk it back. Here's what she said in the email. On behalf of Mayor Michelle Wu, I cordially invite you and a guest, to the Electeds of Color party on Wednesday, December 13th, blah, blah, blah. And then 15 minutes later, she had to send out a follow-up email. I wanted to apologize for my previous email regarding a holiday party for tomorrow. I did send that to everyone by accident, and I apologize if my email may have offended or came across as so. Sorry for any confusion that may have caused. Now, they're not apologizing for having the party, just for having possibly offended people by the email. We are living in insane times, Mercy, aren't we?
Well, the Boston City Council, it's made up of 6 minority and 7 white members, and all of the white members had their invitations to this colored, party,
Electeds of color,
elected of colored party rescinded. They took away the invitation
right
after 15 minutes, about 15 minutes after the original email was sent. So they don't even, they're all about the non-inclusive, let's exclude the white members,
right,
because sorry, you don't qualify based on the color of your skin. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. You're absolutely right.
It's
like
a situation
of times.
in
it's like,
which
let's try to segregate instead.
That's exactly it.
In the holiday parties, let's bring everybody together. Let's share the peace and being together as a community. No. It is being divided by race. It is just disgusting.
Plus, I don't understand. Well, okay, maybe someone can explain this to me. I don't understand why the need for 2 different parties here. That's or at least
yes,
just one that is segregated.
Yes.
It's because it gets down to, there was another city council member, one of the city council members, who said, and he's a Democrat. He says, I don't get offended by not being invited to parties. That's not the point. The point is not the offense generally. The point is the idea that it is 2023, and there are people who are creating parties and events, government officials, the mayor and city council members of a major city in the United States, that are having holiday parties that are segregating people based upon their ethnic or racial background.
Yeah.
That is not what America is all about. I mean, it's certainly not what the city of Boston should be about. Not that I know much about Boston politics. I don't claim to. But, this is, again, you go back 60 years ago, and if we had a story, I'm sorry, something, I'm going to say this. If we go back 10, 15 years ago, and there was a story in which the mayor of Boston was having a party in which only white elected officials were going to be invited to, people would be rightly outraged by that.
Absolutely.
And not because they're offended by it, because it's just wrong. Sorry, go ahead, Mercy.
You got to laugh, though. The mayor then says, well, don't worry. We look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we have, they're going to be hosting as well. But, this one, sorry, we're not going to include you. But then she says She wants to continue bringing together all the different backgrounds that work in the city.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Let's exclude for this party, but no. We value everybody. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. This is like, yeah, we're going to have other parties, but this one you can't come to.
And I'm not sure what the purpose is. You know something? Listen, I interviewed for the Lunch Hour podcast that I do. I interviewed Kara Markowitz yesterday.
Yeah.
And, the writer, and she has a show. And one of the things she was talking about was, how she has gotten to know Jews from various ethnic backgrounds, various other nations, right? It's not sort of the traditional European Jewry. And she mentioned having, now that she lives in South Florida, meeting Venezuelan Jews. And I'm like, boy, I would love to go to a Venezuelan, Hanukkah celebration or a Venezuelan Passover, Seder, just to understand that, right? To see what's going on there. But apparently in Boston, we can't have this. This is. And I think there's a sad commentary, especially regards to Boston's own complicated history with race, that there's a time the mayor's got to show leadership in bringing people together. The mayor should not be dividing people.
Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to all of you. This is O'Connor and Company. It is 7:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. I'm Andrew Langer, in for Larry O'Connor today, alongside Mercedes Schlapp. Thank you very much for joining us and allowing us to join you. Next hour, we've got Yesli Vega joining us here to talk about what's going on down in Prince William County. We're going to have fun talking with Rob Montz. He's a filmmaker. Joining us right now is the congressman from the 5th Congressional District in Virginia. His name is Bob Good. He is the new House Freedom Caucus chair. Congratulations on that, Congressman. Talk about this. Actually, something before we get back to the House Freedom Caucus. A lot of chaos on the Hill yesterday. We had the impeachment inquiry vote. It came up, the impeachment inquiry is proceeding as Hunter Biden is giving a press conference outside, courtesy of Eric Swalwell. What do you make of what was going on up on the Hill yesterday?
Well, there's mounting, growing evidence of the president's involvement with his son's businesses, despite what his son might claim. And we all remember this is the president who won election claiming not only that he was not in business with his son or not involved or he didn't know a lot about it, he claimed he didn't ever even talk to his son about his foreign business dealings, and that's demonstrably false. We've got text messages, emails, we've got audio recordings, you've got photos of him with his business partners, you've got travel visits, and you've got office visits, and you've got shell accounts and LLCs and bank accounts, and you've got suspicious activity reports. All of that is evidence, and then excuse me, the House brings the evidence, the Senate gets to decide whether or not to convict. But ultimately, this president, I believe, will be demonstrated to be the most corrupt president in modern times anyway. I mean, when we had our own sitting president, the literal sitting president accused of a $5 million bribe, just one of the egregious examples of what's been accused. And so Hunter Biden, of course, thinks he's above the law. He's been above the law to this point, but he is, in terms of the national interest, it's not about Hunter Biden. It's about his family's corrupt business dealings, the bribery allegation, the influence peddling. And how has that, by the way, influenced or affected, I should say, the Ukraine policy? We've got the president supporting sending billions more to Ukraine after we've sent them some $113 billion. Maybe that has been influenced by the millions of dollars that the families receive from Ukrainian business dealings. The president has changed how China is treated. The previous president, President Trump, appropriately treated China as an adversary, confronted China, and this president has put the kid gloves on, doesn't confront China, doesn't criticize China, thinks they're a competitive partner. Maybe that's influenced by the fact that the family has made millions of dollars off corrupt Chinese business dealings.
Yeah, it's just so alarming, Congressman, when you see Hunter Biden flying on Air Force Two with the vice president at the time, Joe Biden, to China, and then there's these meetings happening with one of the Chinese business partners. But I got to laugh because the Democrats, every time I talk to the Democrats about this, they're like, oh, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Yet when compare that, all the evidence that you all have gathered together, and I really believe Speaker Mike Johnson, they've been methodical between James Comer, between Jim Jordan, just methodical to put things together before moving forward cautiously with an impeachment inquiry. How long do you think this impeachment inquiry can take, or these impeachment inquiry then moving to proceedings? How long do you think that can take?
Well, I'm not sure what the exact timeline will be. It will certainly take some time. I think, as you're right, I think the Oversight Committee under Comer, with support from Jason Smith on Ways and Means and Jim Jordan on Judiciary, as you said, has done a great job of not just rushed, this foolish rush to judgment, if you will. They have taken their time. And we didn't even mention the $200,000 check
right.
that President Biden received. It's supposed to be a paying back a loan. How could a career elected official be able to loan anybody $200,000? There's no evidence of the loan anyway, but how could he loan $200,000 to someone? So it will take some time. Mercedes, to your point, it's not about, even the politics of it. It's not about how long that it takes. It's not about does the Senate ultimately convict? It's up to the House to do our job. We're the people's
right.
House. We're the people's representatives. We're their only ability to have oversight over the executive branch, oversight over the White House, oversight of the president. And frankly, it's not even about whether or not Kamala Harris would be worse if there ultimately was a conviction. None of us believe that, irrespective of the evidence, that a majority of the Senate would convict, probably because of the politics involved with it. But it's our job to prevent the evidence
right.
of the American people, present the evidence to the Senate, and then let the chips fall where they may. But there's no way we can ignore this. Frankly, the president should have been impeached long ago for the border. We don't need any more evidence than 10 to 12,000 people coming across on a daily basis with the help of this president. He ought to be impeached for that, in addition to the Biden crime family activities.
It is important for the people to know that the president of the United States was not corrupt when he was vice president of the United States, and whether or not that corruption continues. Absolutely true. So Hunter Biden comes up, aided and abetted by Eric Swalwell, having this unprecedented press conference instead of testifying under subpoena to the committee. What's next, Congressman Bob Good, in this Hunter Biden contempt of Congress situation?
Well, a formal vote in the impeachment inquiry does give more power to our ability to compel testimony, to compel witnesses, to obtain information from an executive branch, an administration, Department of Justice that doesn't want to cooperate. So it will strengthen that. Hunter Biden ought to be held in contempt of Congress. Of course, that referral for consequence of that goes to the Department of Injustice and Merrick Garland, and so I suspect they won't have a whole lot of interest in enforcing it. But, what we can do is what we can do as a House. I think the American people are increasingly seeing this is a corrupt president. I think it's affected, by the numbers for him from a polling standpoint. But it's the right thing to do to pursue this evidence, and I'm glad that Speaker Johnson is continuing to move forward along with our committee chair.
Congressman, we have to leave it there. Congratulations on becoming the chair of the House Freedom Caucus. Best of luck to you, sir.
Merry Christmas, Andrew and Mercedes. Thanks for having me.
We've got
Merry Christmas.
We've got so much more coming up. It's 7.
Healthy life.
So, Mercy, you guys had your home decorated very lovely for Christmas. Very tastefully
we did a lot
done.
of it ourselves, which was just quite shocking. And Billy, who does a lot of our work with us at the house and is known to put up Trump flags at our home, which
Nice.
causes the neighbors to go insane.
Sure. I had great consternation in my neighborhood. We got some very strict rules as to what goes out front, but I did buy I don't know if you're familiar with Buc-ee's and the Buc-ee's trend. Buc-ee's is a Southern institution now. It's not just a truck stop, but it's a
I've
whole
heard of
cultural
Buc-ee's,
phenomenon.
yes.
So I got an inflatable Buc-ee's Santa Claus, the Bucky Beaver Santa Claus that I put up in the front of my house. I'm very, very proud of my Buc-ee's Beaver. But there's this New York couple. They are driving their neighbors crazy with their Christmas displays. A New York family is getting pushback for displaying over 720,000 Christmas lights on their home and property. The Guinness Book of World Records for most lights on a residential property went to Tim Gay of Unionvale, New York, when the family display of 346,000 lights was put up in 2012. The family has continually upped their favorite tradition of Christmas light displays each year. I mean, this is looking at the pictures, folks, you can see these pictures online. It really is like a full-on winter wonderland. Here's the thing that I come back to. I love it. I think it's great. I think, I love a lot of lights on a house. I don't do it much myself these days. But it's like, something, it's only for whatever the period of time, let's say Thanksgiving to January. But I don't have a problem with
If you're Catholic, Christmas goes the 12 days after.
Sure.
Christmas. You got to do the Advent and the Christmas season. But yeah, look, I think love the lights. I think it's wonderful, but there's something called excess. You know what I mean? You've gone too far. Like you're blinding the neighbors. If it would be in my crazy neighborhood, they'd call it light pollution.
Light pollution. Well, that's just it.
The liberals would call it light pollution.
One neighbor, Edward Cash, said he will run for local office because he's had enough of the lights displays, massive display. Now, listen, you raise a good point, which is this issue of if the lights are shining in my windows and keeping me up at night, then I have a problem. Like I've got a neighbor who's got he's got a security light out back of his house, and it will occasionally get set off by a tree waving in a breeze, and it shines almost directly into our bedroom, and that I've got a problem with.
Then get some shades. I mean, we had this issue with our backdoor neighbor who literally sent the Alexandria city official to our house to basically check on these lights in the back, and she was claiming it was light pollution.
Oh,
I
my
mean,
God.
it's just, and then she loves calling Matt and I racist and fascist and all the other stuff. I mean, you can't even imagine.
Right.
You can't even imagine.
No, but see, that's just it. But I can also imagine the impetus you guys have in putting those lights back there. I know the pressure you guys are under. You got to have security lights back there. My neighbor, on the other hand, not so much. He's not much. He's not under siege by the entire leftist movement.
My thing is you're putting up all these Christmas lights, Andrew, but then who takes them down? It's like it takes you like 3 months to take them down, and then you got to get ready to put them back up.
What I love is there's a great meme out there, again, where you have a house with lots and lots of Christmas lights on the one hand, and then the neighbor next door just has his Christmas lights strung up to spell ditto and with an arrow pointing to it. That I think is the way to do this. Yeah. To do this here. Listen, it's 7:52 on O'Connor and Company, WMAL.